Hi, everybody. When we left off, Jonah had sort of freaked out a little bit and he left Catherine and Chip trying to problem solve that list of survivors. He ran home and thought he saw somebody in his room. He ran upstairs, but there was nobody there. Mom and Dad were both downstairs. But he noticed that one of his letters, those threatening letters, beware they're coming to get you, was sitting out on top of his desk, and he definitely did not leave it there. So that's where we're going to leave off in the middle of chapter 14, or that's where we're going to start off. It was one of the mysterious letters he received, which he knew he left in the back of his top drawer under a collection of state quarters. Jonah remembered now the tiny light hovering over his desk that he had seen from outside. Are you sure you were not in here a few moments ago, right before I got home? Jonah asked his parents. Suddenly he wanted to believe that they had been searching through his room, snooping around. It was so much better than the other possibilities. Jonah, we weren't, Dad said. Neither one of us has been upstairs since before dinner. Jonah could barely remember dinner. He and Catherine had rushed through the leftover chili so they could get to Chip's house. Dad was peering at him with a concerned squint, worry lines all over his eyes. Is something wrong? Mom asked. Something we don't already know about? Was that the opening that Jonah had been waiting for? He did want to tell Mom and Dad about the letters. Maybe let them worry so he wouldn't have to worry so much. But the tale of the letters now involved a disappearing ghost, Catherine taking cell phone photos of secret documents with Jonah's name on it, and witnesses, as if Jonah had been involved in some crime. No, nothing's wrong, Jonah said. He yawned unconvincingly. I'm just tired. Mom and Dad were both still looking at him doubtfully, but it seemed like they were willing to play along. Well, maybe you should go to bed early, Mom said. Mom was big on the curing powers of sleep. Jonah was surprised she didn't add, everything will look better in the morning. Instead, she said, I'm glad you came back from Chip's. Was Catherine with you? I didn't see her. She looked around as if, acting so worried about Jonah, she now had to show the same amount of concern about her daughter. She's still at Chip's, Jonah said. By her face, Jonah could practically see the calculation going on in Mom's head. Goodness, there couldn't be anything romantic going on between those two, could they? She's in 6th grade and he's older. She's got her cell phone with her, doesn't she? Mom asked with studied casualness. I think I'll give her a call, maybe tell her to come on home. It's almost 9. I'll go get her, Jonah volunteered. He was still a little mad at his sister, but somehow he did not want her walking home alone along those streets with shadows, which was crazy, because he was the one getting threatening letters. Of course, she was the one who thought she had seen a ghost. Would you do that for me, please? Mom asked. Thank you. Jonah waited until Mom and Dad were out of his room before he tucked the mysterious letter back in the drawer. Then he went outside. He was nearly back to Chip's house when he saw Catherine slipping out of the Winstons' front door. Yeah, tomorrow, she said. She was promising Chip. We'll solve this. I promise we will. Jonah waited until Chip had shut the door and Catherine was stepping out into the sidewalk. He hid behind a maple tree and then, of course, jumped out as Catherine was passing by, yelling, boo. Catherine shrieked. Then she giggled and pounded her fist against Jonah's chest. I absolutely hate you, she screamed, laughing. You are terrible. Jonah almost laughed, too, because it felt good to treat everything like it was a joke, to pretend he wasn't worried about anything. And fortunately, Catherine's fist didn't hurt at all. She wasn't hitting very hard. Just for that, I'm not going to tell you what Chip and I found out, Catherine said. Good, because I don't want to know anyway, remember? Jonah said. Okay, then just for that, I'm going to tell you everything, Catherine corrected herself. Chip and I called every number on the witness list. Jonah thought about putting his hands over his ears and chanting, I'm not listening, la 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 la. But he couldn't quite bring himself to do that. 2 of the people hung up on us, Catherine continued, but I did get one guy to tell me that he worked as an air traffic controller. I was pretending that I was working on a career project for school and I was supposed to call people at random and talk to them about their jobs. He was really friendly and wanted to talk and talk and talk. Air traffic controllers must not get out much, I guess. But then I said, did you ever witness anything unusual, like maybe 13 years ago or so? And he got really, really quiet. And then he said he had to go. He didn't have time to talk to me. That means something, don't you think? No, Jonah said automatically because he didn't want to believe any of this meant anything. And then this other lady, Angela Dupre, her name was the first one on the list. She sounded perfectly normal when Chip first started talking to her. But then he laid everything on the line about how he just found out he was adopted, how he doesn't know anything about his birth parents, how he thought she might know something about it, and she totally freaked out. She started hyperventilating almost, and she said, I can't talk to you. Don't ever call me again. Weird, huh? It's all weird, Jonah thought, stepping in and out of the shadows. He wanted to find a normal explanation. Well, maybe she gave up a baby for adoption, he said. Maybe it was 13 years ago and she thought Chip was her son and it was all too emotional. You know how some birth parents want us to reunite with our kids and some never want to have anything to do with them? They just want to pretend it didn't happen. For the first time, Jonah actually understood that viewpoint. Something else struck him. Well, maybe she really is Chip's birth mother. Or mine. Maybe that's what witness means, like it's a code word for something. Yeah, I don't think so, Catherine said. Why not? Jonah challenged. It just didn't seem like that, Catherine said. You're right, because you know everything. Jonah scoffed, but his heart wasn't in it, because they had reached the point on the street where he could see his bedroom window, exactly where he had been standing, where he saw the intruder before. He couldn't help staring up at the windows, but they were now blank and dark and empty. He didn't tell Catherine about the intruder. He wouldn't tell her or Chip. Maybe he would just forget about it. Jonah, Catherine said earnestly, Chip and I really are going to figure all this out. And when we do, you're going to thank us. You'll be so happy. You'll be at peace. They were at the front door now. Jonah put his hand on the doorknob. Home, which had looked like a safe place before, was now just a place where he might see ghosts, where he might have to worry about his secrets being pulled out for anyone to see, where he had to worry about Mom and Dad worrying about him. He already felt haunted. Catherine, he said. What? She turned to him eagerly. I don't think you know what you're talking about. Chapter 15. The next few days passed uneventfully. Jonah didn't get any more strange letters, and no one disturbed the letter he already had. He didn't see any evidence of ghosts or intruders. Catherine and Chip kept insisting on giving him updates on their ongoing research project, no matter how many times Jonah said, I don't care. He tried to ignore them, but he knew they wanted to call every single name on the survivors list now, too. It would be easier if Catherine held the camera a little steadier, Chip told Jonah at the bus stop on the third morning. Look at this. He took out a folded paper of his pocket. It was a printout of the photos that Chip had pieced together. He pointed at one spot where there was a gap between the words. Right here. She got the address and the phone number off this person, but I don't know who to ask for when I call. And then down here, right below that, she got the name and the street address, but not a city name, so I can't look up their phone number online. It's very frustrating. Huh, Jonah said, barely bothering to look at the paper. Then curiosity got the better of him. Seeing this was only Chip, not Catherine, he decided it was safe to at least ask one question. What are you saying to the people when you call? Well, we ask who they are, Chip said, and what exactly they survived, why their names are on a list for the FBI. Well, do they know? Jonah made sure he was looking away from Chip when he asked, as if he was more concerned for watching for the bus than he was hearing the answer to what Chip was saying. None of them knew about the list. They all survived things like broken arms and chicken pox and minor car accidents. Chip gave them a sidelong look. And being adopted. Jonah decided not to comment on that. So they talked to you, some stranger calling out of the blue? He wondered if everybody was as trusting as his parent. Usually not right away, Chip said, until I start talking about how I just found out I was adopted and how I got these weird, scary letters and how my name is on the list of survivors too. Usually it's the letter part that gets them to start talking. Wait, they got letters too? Jonah said. It wasn't a question, really. He could tell from Chip's voice. Catherine already told you that, didn't she? Chip said. Everyone we've talked to has gotten the same letters. Jonah didn't want to admit how hard he had been working to tune out everything Catherine had been trying to tell him. He looked for his sister. She was in the center of a group of kids laughing and talking under the glow of the streetlight, but she wasn't joining in the laughter. She was looking at him and Chip. It's just been 5 or 6 people you've talked to, right? Jonah said. I think that's what Catherine said. Not so many. Nothing really to base any conclusions on. It's not, he tried to remember the name of the proper term, statistically significant sample. Wow, his math teacher would be really proud of him for remembering that. Jonah, it's 17 people so far, Chip said. Jonah remembered Catherine hadn't been able to help Chip out the night before because she had gymnastics practice. He felt guilty now for not helping Chip. And, Chip said, every single survivor I've talked to, every single one is adopted, just like us. We're going to stop there.